Hey guys, my name is Shpankit. I've been working in Excel as a data scientist. I've been working in the field of data science industry in the last 3 years. And in this video, I'll give you a complete roadmap of how you can become a data analyst in 4 months period. I'll break down the roadmap in a week by week timeline, and I hope it helps you. Thank you. Okay guys, so let me be really clear. I have prepared a strategy where you will be giving a specific amount of time to each particular skill, and after 4 months you will be technically ready for any data analyst job, right? So all the skill listed here are coming either from my experiences, the interviews that I'm given, and the work that I've done. And I went through many job descriptions to gather these skills and like what exactly is required in them and what level is required in them, right? So I don't want you be an expert in one skill and completely nuisance in the other, right? So yeah, and the same logic I have used to give different priorities to like different priority of time to different skill. So guys, here I have listed all the technical skill that you will require to become a data analyst. So we have SQL, Python, Excel, Power BI, and then I've listed the libraries of Python separately, right? So these are analytical libraries of Python that we use, and you must be thinking that why I have kept these separately. They can be a part of Python as well. See, you don't have to be a Python developer, right? You are learning Python to become a data analyst or a data scientist, right? So you don't need to learn Python from that extreme. So that's why I've kept the pandas and numpy, which are analytical libraries of Python, separately. And then it will be good for you to have a little bit of understanding on cloud, right? Because most of applications are working on cloud these days, so it will be a little beneficial for you. Okay, moving ahead, so the first thing that you should start with is SQL, right? So I have planned 3 weeks for SQL, and it's the most important skill for data science. No matter you're working as a data scientist, a business analyst, or a data analyst, SQL is something that you should have, and the better you understand it, the more expertise you have in SQL, it will be great for you, right? And the good thing about SQL is it's easy to learn. Is something similar to English, right? The statements are the code that we see is similar to English, but it's hard to master, right? Because it's easy to learn, students don't practice it that much, and then you generally get stuck in interviews, or some questions some randomly pops up and you feel you're stuck at that question, right? So I planned 3 weeks for SQL. In a week one, you should gain an understanding of RDBMS, different type of SQL commands. There are 4 or 5 types of different SQL command, DDL. There are 4 or 5 types of SQL command, DDL, DML, right? So you should get a hold of them, and after 1 week you should be able to understand the fundamentals of SQL. You should be able to write in easy queries, and I think if you complete it up to a between and or and end statement, it will be a good good progress, right? So now coming to the second week, you would be studying mainly group by and joins in the second week. So joins is something that is a core of SQL, right? So join is something which you use to get data from two tables, right? So SQL is a query language, as we said. It's not a programming language. So SQL is a query language. So again, join is something that will be used to get data from two different tables, right? So join is something is like a core of an SQL, and you should have a really good command of join. So I've given a proper 1 week of time to specifically to joins, and then in a week 3 you can learn about subquery and windows function, which is a little bit of advanced SQL. But if you really want to get the job in 4 months, right, it will be really helpful for you if you learn an advanced SQL. And trust me, it can be easily learned in 1 week, right? People have learned, like I have friends that I have students who have learned these things in 2 weeks or like 1.5 weeks, because they really needed a job, right? So it's all depends on your pace. I have taken a default pace a student can give time to, and then I have taken timing according to that, right? So once you're done with SQL after 3 weeks, from the fourth week and fifth week, you should focus on reporting and visualization tools, right? So there are two most common visualization tool. It's Power BI and it's Tableau, right? So now you can choose any one of them, but my preference would be Power BI. I would suggest you to choose Power BI, because Power BI is something that is widely used. It's easily connected to other applications. It's a Microsoft product, and it's easy to start with, right? So you should start with Power BI, and then you should learn like any other tool if it's asked in your job, and it will be really easy for you to adapt from Power BI to any other tool, right? That is something that will happen, right? So next thing that I will suggest you is that visualization is not about tool. Okay, you are choosing Power BI, you should learn Power BI, that's fine. But visualization has some other aspects as well, right? For example, which graph you have to choose, and like connecting insights to values,
and how do you explain your graph. Okay, those things are also important, right? When you have to make a line chart, when you have to make a pie chart, when you have to make a bar chart, right? So there are some rules to it, and these are standard rules. It won't take much of a time to learn them, but it will be a great help for you if you have that skill as well, right? So I've taken 2 weeks. In first week you can get a basics of visualization, the things that I said, okay, what graphs are used in this, which aspects, and like a bit of fundamentals of Power BI. Okay, what is the UI of Power BI, what is a query editor, how do I transform the data, little bit of that. And then the next week you can learn, like, give all of your attention to proper making of dashboards, right? So that will be your fifth week, right, where you have an understanding of Power BI and you're making dashboards, and you are choosing themes, you're choosing colors, and you're customizing your dashboard to a particular company data, right? So that would be your fifth week of learning. Now, after your fifth week, then you should start with coding, right? So now it's a proper coding time. As I said, SQL was not a coding language, SQL was a query language. Now we are starting with a coding language, and I'm choosing Python here because Python is something that is widely used in data science. It has a good community. See, when I say a good community, it means that you will get solutions easily, right? So see, what I have personally observed, see, I come from a non-coding background, and then the way I learned coding was by solving errors, right? So that's the biggest way of learning. You get an error, you search multiple sources, you try to find the error, and then you solve it, and then that thing never goes out of your head because you've spent a lot of time on that, right? And that also builds a confidence, okay, because like how I have solved this error, right? So now when you're starting out on Python, uh, you have to be patient, right? And you have to try as much on hands-on approach as you can, right? Generally what I see that students sit and they watch lectures, and they read out documents about Python, and they think, okay, I've watched a 2 hour lecture on Python, so that might be something that will benefit me. So yeah, it will benefit you, but you will not gain confidence, right? You'll never gain confidence of doing Python on your own. So learn the approach to learn coding should be totally hands-on. And again, keep in mind that you don't have to be a Python developer. You have to be a Python you have to use Python in your data science, right? So you have to use Python as a tool, right? And this is a long-term skill, right? Many people have said, many CEO have said that coding is one skill that everyone should have these days. And because it helps you bring logic, it helps you use mathematics, right? So it helps you develop your mind, right? So it will be a long-term skill for you. And your goal should be, at this point in these 2 weeks, your goal should be to get comfortable till functions, right? So you'll start from data types, you'll learn about loops, you'll learn about variables, you learn about different kind of if statements, and then you learn about you'll actually learn about functions. So your goal should be to learn about function. There is a particular topic of production grade programming. I would suggest you not to do that as of now if you are starting out. If you're comfortable in it, then you can learn about classes as well, but till function you should be able to complete in these 2 weeks. And putting out 3 hours and 3.5 hours a day, you can easily do that. And to be honest, if you want to do a particular course, if you want to achieve this dream in 4 months, you have to put 4 to 5 hours a day. That will be my suggestion. And then it will depend on specific conditions. Some people have jobs, some people have classes, right? So some people have to attend college, so that thing will depend. But try to take out some time. And but to be honest, these all efforts would be worth one time. Okay, so coming back to our topic. Now after these 2 weeks, you have a separate keep 2 separate weeks just to understand two libraries of Python. Not two libraries, but majorly two libraries of Python. Those will be your NumPy and Pandas. See, NumPy and Pandas are two libraries of Python, completely analytical libraries of Python that are like core of data science as of now, right? Like, people use Pandas almost every day, and like some of the companies, they only have one skill required in Python. That, do you know Pandas is or not, right? So Pandas is a library of Python. What is a library of Python? Library is a set of code that somebody has already written. You just have to use them correctly to to use in your application or use in your particular tool, right? So that should be a goal, that okay, in a week 8 and in week 9 you should be able to get a good command of Pandas and NumPy. and some other libraries of Python as well, such as Matplotlib or C1, which are used to make charts. Because not every chart you can make in Power BI, right? You will be working in Python, so if you're working in Python, if you have to make graphs, so it will be easier for you to learn a simple Matplotlib or C1 to make a chart in, or Plotly, right, to make a chart in Python itself, right? So this will be like 4 weeks in Python, 2 weeks of just understanding the language of Python and till function, and then 2 weeks of proper learning pandas library or numpy libraries, right? And trust me guys, this will be really helpful for you. And try to remember most of the pandas method and attributes. Okay, what is, how do I find the index, how do I reset the index, how do I find the unique values, right? Because this thing will be really helpful in your project and your EDA part as well, that we'll talk about, right? Okay, now once you're done with once you're done with week 9, right? So what you have learned till now, you have learned SQL, you have learned Python, and you have learned Power BI, right? So you have a really good command of technologies. Now let's do some of a basic thing, that is that will be kind of a wrapper on your all of these skills. So spend 1 week on statistics and Excel. Now you must be thinking that 1 week is too less for statistics, but see, we are preparing for data analyst, you're not preparing here for data scientist. And if you're preparing for data analyst, then I guess 1 week is enough for data. 1 week is enough for Excel and statistics. Reason being that you will be spending less time on Excel, less time on statistics and more on Excel, right? So you can spend 1 or 2 days on statistics and learn the basic of statistics that are required. See, what I need you to understand is that if you have a graph in front of you, can you tell me what kind of distribution it has? And can you tell me, okay, what particular aggregation should I use? Should I use mean, median, or mode, right? And what is deviation, what is variance, right? You should be familiar with these terms and how do they impact your numbers, right? That is my ask from statistics if you are in this particular road, if you're following that particular roadmap. Now rest of the time you have to focus on Excel. And now see, Excel is something that is ever developing, right? Each other feature, like each other month of Excel, they develop something, an update over Excel, and that is, it can be anything, right? So I highly recommend you not remember any of the formulas of Excel. If it's good if you remember, but to be honest, it's not required, right? You can always Google them, and there's no point, right? I mean, like there's search bar on Excel, you can search out the task and do that, right? So if you have enough time, you want to, so you can remember it, but it's not something that is really required to remember the formulas in Excel or remember the shortcuts in Excel. Just remember the tasks that are the that can be possible in Excel. Okay, this thing is also possible. Okay, there's some button in Excel that also helps you do that thing, right? That should be understanding, and you should be really good and comfortable around lookups and pivot tables, right? That is something that you will be using daily, right? So get familiar around the UI of Excel. To be honest, I assume that most of the people already have a little bit of understanding of Excel. They have opened Excel at some point of the life, even if you have not ever used Excel. So you can spend some time on Excel and just get familiar with the UI. And if it required, you can also extend the weeks, right? So like I have constrained this program to 16 weeks, but okay, if any skill you don't feel confident, if any skill you feel okay, for me it will require a little more time, just accept the fact and you can just put in one more week there. Okay, so but just remember guys, your goal here is to get the complete understanding of Excel, right? Because Excel is something that as you will grow in your in your designation, right, as you go to senior position, you will be spending even more times on Excel, right? Because there because in Excel it's easy to understand for business people, right? And you are a data analyst, you're working as a technical person, but you will be dealing with business people daily, right? So it's really important for you to learn that as well. Next is your mathematics part. So here again, I've just kept a simple mathematics part because a lot of companies today ask a little bit of machine learning and a little bit of predictive analytics from data analyst as well, right? That's why it's really important, and this will give you an edge over the other students that are applied for the job, right? So linear algebra, we all know, we have studied in our schools, but you need to revise it and you need to learn it from a machine learning point of view, learn it from a data science point of view, that how is that knowledge of linear algebra that we studied in our school is being applied here, right? So you have to learn the concept of linear algebra, metrics and vectors as well. and then understand the role of calculus in real world, right? So now you guys must have remembered that we studied calculus in mathematics as well, and we studied calculus in physics as well, right? So when we studied calculus in physics, we studied okay, what is acceleration, what is if I differentiate acceleration, I will get speed, right? So those things those things something is like an application of calculus, right? Same thing you have to understand here, okay, I don't want you to do differentiation and integration, but I want you to understand, okay, what is differentiation doing, okay, what is integration doing, right? So that thing I need you to understand. And it will be 2 weeks will be enough, but I want you to focus more on something like specific terms like gradient descent. Okay, what is gradient descent? So I'll give you a small brief. Okay, gradient descent is something that is a core of machine learning. It's an iterative search algorithm that helps you find an optimal solution, right? So just spend 2 weeks in that, and you'll get a hang of, okay, how maths is being used in in data analysis, and try to learn something about machine learning so that you can have an edge in your interviews, right? So in that you can add you can add that you have predictive analytics knowledge as well, right? So that will be that will give you an additional benefits in your interviews. Okay, going to the next slide. Now we are in the 13th and 14th week, right? So this is a 15th week 16th week plan. So now we are in the last 3 weeks, and now I want you to practice, right? I want you to practice as much as you can. I want you to be comfortable around data frames in pandas, and for that you need data, right? So my suggestion would be to you that search many public data sets. Go through you'll get a lot of public data set. You can search on Kaggle, you can search on any other government websites as well. You can get a lot of data, and go through them. Try to understand the complete step by step EDA, right? So EDA is your descriptive analytics, right? So now you will go step by step. Okay, you will get the info of a data, you will get a description of a data, you will clean the data, you will mine the data, right? So come get familiar with all those steps, get comfortable in all those steps, and spend 2 weeks just on practicing, right? And one thing that you have to keep in mind here is that how do you connect insights to values, right? So generally, as I said in the starting of video, right, your when we was talking about reporting, right, that your goal is not to make charts, your goal is to make insights, right? The difference is that charts is something is just information, and it's it might be relevant or not, but insight is something that is relevant, right? So try to make insights, right? And insight, see, I'll give a simple example. Information is something that, okay, there was in 2023 there is a sale of, let's say, 1 million, and in 2022 there was a sale of 75 millions, right? So what I am observing here, that okay, there is a 33% growth in that particular year, right? So now what's it, like 100 million and 75 million, so 25 million has increased. 25 million is one third of 75 millions. So I can say that there is a 33% increase from the last year. So now this is an insight, and that was just an information, right? To try to find insights from the data, that should be a goal, and that is the one approach that you have to develop, which is is an interpersonal skill. In this presentation, in this particular video, I have listed all the technical skills, but that is one interpersonal skill that is really required, and it's quite rare, right? To try to develop that as well. Now coming to the last 2 weeks, coming to the last 2 weeks. So here you need to spend your whole time creating projects for your portfolio. See, there will be two benefits of that. First of all, you will have good project in your resume, so you'll have more chance of getting selected. Doesn't matter if you're going as a fresher or an experienced, project is something that will get you selected. Good project will get you selected, a bad project will get you rejected, right? That's a simple equation. And the other thing is that more complex project you do, when you do an actual project, you learn a lot of things. Like you will learn okay, what things were you lacking at your study, right? When you revised the other topics, for example, when you're studying SQL, when you're studying Python, might be you left some topic, okay, you didn't like, let's say, loops, right? So you left loops, okay, I won't study loops, and you moved ahead. And project, you are requiring to loop over a particular list of data, right? So you'll feel that thing, and also you'll understand, okay, what is a project. That is the main thing, right? Because as a fresher, we have to experience that as well. And that is something that is lacking in fresher, that you don't understand the project. Okay, what is a good project, right? So here I've listed down some features of good projects. So it should be relevant, right? So relevant means that for example, if applying in, let's say, a second hand car company, right? So for example, cars 24, if applying in cars 24 as a data analyst, and if I have a project that is where I have made a dashboard of like similar aspects, a dashboard of car sales, right? So obviously that will boost my chances. And also in the interview will talk about that project, and if I've done that project, honestly, I'll have a lot of things to talk about that, right? Similarly, the second thing would be career clear goals, right? So most of the time when we do the projects, right, we just randomly start a project and we see where it goes, and we make like multiple charts, and that's the end of the project. And that's not something that you want, right? We want a complete portfolio of the project, right? Okay, this is what I aimed at the start of a project, this is what I achieved at my end of the project, this is my whole code, this is the presentation of that particular project. So all of these things. The other thing is complexity. See, most students choose easy project, or they just copy the project from somewhere else, and that's totally first of all, it's ethically wrong, and it's not at all at use, right? Because see, we are not in college where you can just copy out a project from the other people, and you'll also get the grade. Here you are going to show your projects in an interview, and the interview will ask you about the project, and trust me, the interview will understand by your first sentence that whether you have done a project honestly or not, right? And the other thing are measurable results and collaborative. If you can try to find a team to do a project, right, you can find a co-learner, right, who is also preparing for similar things. So search on LinkedIn, connect with people who are also a data science aspirant, and try to do project with them, right? You learn a lot from that particular thing. You also learn how to do a project in teams. And then as I said, right, you don't have to just build a code file, you have to build a whole portfolio of a project. Push your project to get presented on LinkedIn, right? Make a presentation of that project. All of those things are, and combinedly add a hyperlink of that particular portfolio in your resume, right? So that is something like a communicative project, right? So spend 2 weeks on this, and that would be like complete 16-month roadmap that you can use to actually become a data analyst in 4 months. And trust me, guys, I have seen like, I am not exaggerating this, right? I have seen students go from like you know completely zero level to a really good level where they can actually apply for a job and expect a call back, right, in a particular skill wise, and become a data analyst eventually, right? So it's totally possible, and you can do it as well, right, if the others are doing. And yeah, best of luck.